I am the witness. This entire game breaks down into its simplest component of sound and the curation of realities we experience, and has been encased in the sigils and symbols of letters and words. This is the very basis of Phoenician law, and the sonics and phonics intertwining where we have all been blinded by the creations of visual light. In this realm of light, we are living in the past, and back to all things visual, which are the effects of sound, where light, as a vibration, is merely a higher vibration of frequencies that began with sound, or more accurately, thought. If you want to hear the sound of creation, all one must do is sit still, close your eyes, and, in your mind only, say the word rabbit. Did you hear it? That, to me, is the root, that's R-O-O-T and R-O-U-T, of pure creation, and why our thoughts had to be carefully trained to be manipulated. That which you think on becomes a pre-sent, where no intention yet exists and simply is. It is when we put energy behind these thoughts that they become manifest, and the easiest way to do that is attach emotions to those thoughts. This is why I feel that the emotions are the only things that need to be controlled externally to have us creating the reality of someone or something else. So why is the word witness so powerful? Well, let's begin to break it down phonetically to expose something deeper. First off, the word wit means to know, and the suffix ness means in the state of being. So witness means to be in the state of knowing. An observation of something seen or experienced by oneself is the only thing that can be deemed real or reality. If a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Well, it does if there is someone or anything living that can experience that vibration, even an insect. Something can only be deemed real if there is a witness to that or any event in existence. The word wit can also be pronounced white, but one has to begin breaking the programming so carefully instilled in our minds as children, and why the school systems are so insidious to our creative and free spirit. Let's take this concept a bit further to outline why a witness in a courtroom is so powerful. In the realms of legal land, an accused is summoned, where a witness is subpoenaed, and the difference is beyond black and white. In their realms, it is the dead they are summoning. Subpoena means under penalty, and only the living can be harmed. The facts are already in place where we know all things corporate and legal are all things assumed and presumed dead. Only a dead corporation can contract with another dead fiction, where we are duped into taking on the roles of their dead legal fictions via the hinge of hinges called the legal name. Remember, legality is not reality, and that is a maxim of law. Just think of the words the system likes to use to operate with. Words like possession, repossessed, summons, etc., and you begin to see the demonic world that all things legal is. The real trick is to use our ignorance and willingness to go along to get along, and you begin to see the enormity of the mind trap. Anything and everything that you agree with, you are in full contract with, both physically and spiritually. Someone trying to set their causal ability free cannot do that until they cut all the strings connecting them to the legal dead fiction realms. If you agree to be a legal name and use it, you are in full contract with everything attached to that fact. If someone were to ask me for my name, I will simply answer that as follows. I am the witness to the fraud regarding that name, and are you seeking to aid and abet me into incriminating myself via fraud by claiming to be such a thing? We must be our brothers and sisters' witness is as powerful a concept as one needs to get. So, if all things in admiralty legal is dead, how much power do you think you'll wield if you are claiming only to be a living witness to these and any of their system crimes? When you finally get this concept, you will begin to grasp who and what you truly are. I do not get caught up in the legal matrix of trying to figure out statutes, courtroom shenanigans, claims, affidavits, or the like. These are all things dead and do not apply to the living. Only the dead surety. What some of the most brilliant minds in this game fail to get is the simple fact that any and all use or claiming of the legal name has them already dead in the water as a merchant ship mind in their admiralty fleet. If an ordinary seaman was to defy the captain of the ship where they were part of the crew, what do you suppose will happen to that crewman? When people claim the legal name, they are instantly in fraud and false personations. It is a fact that if anyone has the legal name of someone, their parents' names, the place of birth, and the birthday, anyone can order their birth certificate and create identification with it. So when you claim to be any legal name, it can be assumed and presumed at all levels that you may be one of 7.3 billion legal persons on this planet. With that in mind, who are you really? This is the nature of pre-crime and the sheer power of assuming and presuming where, in their courts, they are the ones interpreting everything any way they so choose, and they do this in full universal honor. How can someone else be blamed for your ignorance of this truth? There is nothing more terrifying to this system than living beings. They are the masters of the dead world, where we, the living, can easily destroy it from within. Visualize a graveyard that you are the only living being standing in the middle of, and who do you think calls the shots? Dead men tell no tales, but the living witness can, and they are the only ones able to do so. Let's say someone is in court regarding a simple parking ticket. Imagine how a judge will react to someone saying that they are the witness to a dead legal servant of their realm aiding and abetting you, the living, into committing fraud by using the fraud birth certificate name that you know isn't yours. The intent of the system's deceit is already proven via the existence of the birth certificate in the first place. If there was no intent to defraud humanity through this trickery, the birth certificate wouldn't exist, nor would the registration buildings erected to serve this fraud. We had to step back from this illusion to actually see what was really going on, and now that we do, we can see how to move forward in prosecuting all of these fraudsters from the bottom up and the top down. If it is fraudulent for us to use a legal name in their system, then so must it be for all of them. Mirror, mirror. It is a legal and lawful fact that using something that belongs to another without their permission is theft, infringement of copyright, etc. The truth beyond that is the fact that all parents who register their children are being deceived with intent, and that those who serve the crown dead corpse commit fraud by omission and or commission, knowingly and or unknowingly. What's good for the goose must also be good for the gander. The whole game boils down to intent, where that concept can be manipulated via assumption and presumption. It is also a maxim that a fraud revealed is null and void, nunc pro tunc, tunc pro nunc, for then and then for now. There is no statute of limitations for fraud either legally or universally lawfully. If you want proof of this fraud, just call up your local vital statistics and ask their legal department if using the legal name on the birth certificate is fraud, and you will quickly see that you will not get an answer and you will be sent away with the advice that you need to seek legal counsel on that. All you need to ask yourself now is this: is fraud a crime? If the answer is yes, because it is, you now have the tools to privately prosecute anyone and everyone that attempts to dare even ask for your legal name. What most people fail to click on is that thought is intention. So if someone asks for your name, they had to have had the thought-filled intent to do so, and as a result, they are in universal contract with that thought alone. This was the big clue in the movie Minority Report, as it was referred to as pre-crime. This is the power of thought, in that it is creation itself. A thought is only that, but when there is intent placed into that thought as shown by one's actions, it is manifest reality and the reality of the one whose intentions are being shown in the physical. To illustrate further the power of phonics or sound, let's have a look at a few other words that contain wit. To know, wit, to know. How about the word witch? Well, the automatic spelled manifest sound is witch, with wit rhyming with fit, and the ch as in the sound chimney. By splitting the word up and breaking the spell, let's pronounce it like white key, since the I has different sounds and the ch can sound like a K. When we change the phonics of a word, we change the intent within it, as we were spellbound to say it, and have let loose an entirely different intent laid hidden by our indoctrinations. Explaining this is very difficult, as it is only a measure of how deeply we were all programmed to see and say words in a uniformed, created by another's intent way. In order to break the spells of all words, all one has to do is to get this concept and dare to look at one single word differently. The basic concept must be seen, which is the foundation spell, the spell that all other spells are built on, or the keystone in short. The word witch can now mean one who knows the key. So is it any wonder why they burned witches at the stake? Knowledge is power, not money. Money is the effect that owns so many souls, where it has transplanted the real reason as to its creation. The intent was to own our souls, our light creation, via this construct. While so many are focused on the elites and their money control, they are missing the fundamental control that is really taking place. If we are at effect to the money, the value outside of ourselves, we are giving up the very essence of our creational and spiritual natures. We become lesser or leaser gods to be milked via our own consent. If you have legal woes, then you are bringing that upon yourself until you see the ruse perpetrated in the mirror. I am long weary of people asking me, how do I survive without a name, etc., where I simply respond with, now you see how deeply entrenched in the game that you are. People ask me about getting a passport to cross borders. I will just say that I am more concerned with taking the borders down where they are not and should never have been needed or created. Where one thinks they need permission, one is at effect to someone else's idea of how things should be. If you agree with passports, then you must in turn agree with borders. So who is the one building the illusional walls? Who is the one feeding energy into keeping Jericho's walls upright? Jericho, and the story about that, was only an allegory where this fictional city has never been found, along with every other historical event ever listed in the Bible. These are allegories, and one needs to have the eyes to see this, or one will forever be at effect to the literal, physical world, where I chose a much higher realm of causal spirit. The more I see and learn, the more I realize how much of a baby I was. It is time to put aside these childish ways, because until you do, you will be at effect to everything in this physical realm. If you are a baby here in the below, you are a baby in the spiritual above. By gaining more control over yourself in the physical, you are by default becoming stronger in the spiritual realms and more able to create the desired effects in this realm. This is why it was so critically important to keep the dramas and the bread and circuses going around you so that you would never see this. The ones that do see this are the ones creating the effects, and it is merely a choice, a thought-filled contract that can change this. If I can make you emotionally attached to something, you will fight to the death to protect it. How many people do you think are emotionally attached to money? If I can keep you there, I can own your intent and keep using your own power against you. Are you getting the picture yet? You cannot serve two masters, and this is the main thrust of the Nicodemus allegory. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. The needle referred to here is a narrow doorway that only an unpacked camel can pass through, the emotional baggage attachments, and the gate can never be wide enough for the ones who worship money. The heaven referred to is within your own mind, so you can never own your own mind until you cut these emotional puppet strings that has you dancing to a puppet master of your free-willed and intent-laden choice. One can only be a witness when one begins to know and see things as they actually are, not as to how you were programmed by the systems to see them. My only intent here is to wake you up enough to start seeing this, because all it takes is one aha moment to derail the entire program. It's the elite's biggest fear. If but one shall awaken, we are doomed. Doomed, by the way, means judged. By one's actions, one is known and is already judged in, of, and by those actions after the intent thought made manifest. In short, we are already judged by our actions, where no other judge is required but self and one's actions. You cannot take back things made manifest, only be responsible for them at the universal law level. All crimes committed are just that, committed, and there is nothing that can take that away except accepting responsibility upon self and moving in the direction where thine eye no longer offends thee. If thine eye offends thee, pluck it out means that if you are doing something wrong, only you can stop doing it. If we were to take that allegory literally, there would be countless eyeballs getting ripped out, and we would be even blinder than we already are. Only you can change what you do, what you intend to do, and it is this core postulate that can deliver you a new reality. Change your mind, thoughts, actions, change your universe. Too many people wish that others would stop doing what they are doing, rarely take the time to ask themselves what they are doing to cause this. You cannot be causal if you are permanently at effect to everything around you. The system has been constructed in such a way as to keep you in that spellbinding. Lost my spark. There we go. The level of that spell binding is directly proportional to your agreement with the spell that binds you. Replace the word I, E-Y-E, with its phonetic equivalents to truly see what the root cause of all things that offend us really is. If thine I, the letter, the self, or A-Y-E, if thine I offends thee indeed. I means yes, and if you're sailing on the Admiralty Phoenician law waters, then it's aye, aye, Captain, every time. I am the witness to my own shortcomings, my own choices, and my own reality. I am also the captain of my own flagship now, where I do not wish to be a merchant ship, mind, any longer. Everyone who deals in commerce without this truth is a merchant ship and mind by choice. If you agree to play a game with someone and you always lose, then whose fault is it? If you agree that you need a passport, then you agree there should be borders. Inasmuch as we all talk about divide and conquer, are you being party to that contract via religions, nations, genders, colors, etc., or can you actually see the oneness you claim to know? A house divided cannot and will not stand. To truly be a witness, you must be in a state of knowing. When you claim to be a witness, you are affirming that reality. I am not limited by someone else's definitions, where I choose my own, where only I can fully interpret my reality, and if I agree to someone else's definitions, what am I really saying? I am in full contract, spiritually and physically, by agreeing with something created by another, and in turn, I grant them my power if I do so. I no longer choose to do that. In the simplest terms, we must first be our own witness, and then the witness for humanity to put an end to all these thought pre-crimes, by holding those accountable for these crimes accountable. But you cannot do that if you are dead in their in their fictional legal dead in the water of their Admiralty fleet, and dead spiritually by choice as a result. It is time to take on your full God status, and the level of cause you create in this realm is a direct and immediate result. Every contract you make and break in this realm is manifest equally in the spiritual realms. This is an infinite game of balance where we put our godness at effect to our demons, the of-me's, in the physical. While we may balk at the magnitude of our contracts when we first see them fully, we can also take solace in knowing that we finally figured out the concept of cutting our puppet strings and can cut them as we are baby-stepping our way back to cause. Make no mistake about this, though. Once you realize this, you must begin cutting lest the universe keep urging you along with bigger versions of physical hell. The physical reality is your spiritual mirror, and everything you do in action from your intention manifests as above, so below. For those wondering how to reestablish their spiritual power, there's your easy answer. What you do from here on will determine if you are choosing to be cause over life or remain content and add effect to it, where others steer your ship, mind. When you choose to be a passenger in your own car and the one you give the wheel to drives your car off a cliff, well, whose fault is it really? Humanity has become as lemmings where the ones who control them... Let me do that again. Humanity has become as lemmings where the ones who control them stands at the cliff's edge to see if you will actually jump. Unfortunately, mankind has been jumping off this cliff for a long time, and my only feeling is that it has to stop, but only for those who no longer wish to jump, where the system is now actively pushing people off in desperation. It is desperation that now owns them, and evil will destroy itself in the process. The most dangerous seed to plant is the planting of a thought, and where it has worked against us for so long, it finally works for us. How many crown oath slaves do you think it will take to privately prosecute as a witness to their crimes for others of their ilk to finally awaken to the crimes they are fomenting at the behest of their unseen masters? How many cops, lawyers, and judges, and IRS, CRA agents will it take to jail for the others to perhaps wake up and start looking at themselves because the power of fear has been mirrored back? Fear has been the only component used against us, and those fears are all imagined and thus created. It is high time for that fear to become good, where we begin planting back in the gardens of those that have raped and pillaged ours for so long. I am the witness motu proprio toto generi, which is to say that I am the one who knows of my own impulse and full character. Only the living can claim anything, so may I suggest becoming your own witness. Be a witness for your brothers and sisters, and simply let the dead carry out the dead. After all, it was their choice, their wish, and my intention now is to grant only wishes in full light of the Golden Rule. When you know who you are, your whiteness cancels all black, where creation finally becomes crystal clear. Here, as above, so below. It is all about contract, and everything you think, say, and do to agree with this system has you in full contract. Caveat emptor. Buyer beware indeed. Was in love. Me.